During week 238 of Brada's Branded Thoughts, an early look at Caitlyn Clark's WNBA debut and how you'll be covered for the Indiana Fever's opening regular season game this coming Tuesday right here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Plus, an official sit-down with incoming guard Aaliyah Guyton, what Aaliyah plans to bring to the Iowa backcourt and why she picked Lisa Bluter, Jan Jensen, and the Hawkeyes. All that coming up during week 238 of Brada's Branded Thoughts. This is from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Let me introduce you to one of the proud supporters of From the Hawkeye of the Storm, Iowa floor covering down in Bondurant. Now, for the last year and a half, you've heard me talk about this great company in the heart of central Iowa. They've got their tough core, click together, 4.5 millimeter waterproof vinyl flooring, great for you DIYers out there. But even if you're just a contractor or you need a different type of flooring, they've got you covered, whether it be tile showers, carpet. Give Iowa Floor Covering a chance to serve you better and serve your flooring needs. Visit them online at iowafloorcovering.com. That's iowafloorcovering.com, or you can give them a call at 515-379-7000. That's 515-379-7000. Thank you to Iowa Floor Covering in Bondurant. Week 238 of Brada's Branded Thoughts here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. We're in the month of May, coming up to the mid part of May. I'm telling you, the basketball and football offseason always flies by. And now with the transfer portal, there's always news to talk about. Of course, you got recruiting. And for really the first time, Hawkeye fans are fully invested in the WNBA. Caitlyn Clark recently making her preseason debut. She was the number 1 overall draft pick, as expected by the Indiana Fever. And what's crazy about the WNBA is you have the college game wrapping up in April and the WNBA season starting in May. I mean, it is quick. And obviously, they're trying to take advantage of the summer months where you don't have to compete as much with the NBA and, of course, football, etc. So Caitlyn Clark, 2 games under her belt, preseason debut at that. Here are some stats from Caitlyn's opening games. She's averaging just over 16 points per game, 16 and a half points per game to be exact, 4 assists per game, 5.5 rebounds per game, 37% field goal shooting, 32% from 3 as you see her 2 games, one against Atlanta, one against Dallas. And I'm not going to do a lot of reading into 2 preseason games. The Indiana Fever officially get their season started on Tuesday. They'll take on DeWanna Bonner and the Connecticut Sun. That game will be televised nationally on ESPN2 and ESPN Plus. And yes, you'll get some post-game coverage right here, and we'll talk about that in just a second. What do we take from Caitlyn Clark's opening 2 games? Of course, I spent a lot of time during this past Iowa women's basketball season with former Hawkeye Kashina Alexander discussing Caitlyn Clark and how her game translates to the next level. And I would double down on some of the things I said. Certainly, Kashina is the expert when we get together and talk about anything basketball related. But what I see from Caitlyn, just looking through what she's done in these first 2 games, her shot is going to translate. The depth of her shot is going to translate. Her vision is going to translate. Her ability to fit passes in tight windows, etc. That is going to translate. What you're going to get, and I'm not breaking any news to anybody, what you're going to get is better competition, more athleticism, and more experience from everybody that she goes up against night in and night out. And that's just the nature of transitioning from college to the NBA. But these are the best of the best, just like we would say when Keegan Murray transitioned to the NBA or when Chris Murray or Luka Garza transitioned to the NBA. You don't expect stats to translate immediately. And I would caution Iowa fans and Fever fans who think Caitlyn Clark's triple-double averages are going to immediately translate. Now, she is averaging, like I say, 4 assists per game, 5.5 rebounds per game, but she's already averaging 5.5 turnovers per game. So far, her assist to turnover ratio is 4 to 5.5. That's obviously not going to get it done, and we're not going to overreact and panic because of those numbers. But I think Caitlyn Clark would be the first to tell you those numbers are not good enough, and they're going to need better out of her. But these are her first 2 games, and they're not even official games because they're preseason. First 2 games in a WNBA uniform. And of course, the whole world is watching Caitlyn Clark and how she's going to affect the game, how she already has affected the game, etc. Certainly, we've talked about her mid-range game with room to improve, especially with her floater game. We don't see her get a ton in the mid-range. She's either driving to the hoop, looking to kick, or spotting up from three. And those two things, that's really the name of the game, especially for a point guard in not only the WNBA, but in the NBA. But I do think she can take her game to the next level by improving in that mid-range and being able to score, stop, pop, hit floaters, and improving her efficiency and shot faking and getting to the foul line. All those things are going to help. But the people who said that her game was just not going to translate, I just don't think you can say that about somebody who's so generational in how she plays and how she approaches the game. So I'm not panicking over the low 3-point percentage numbers or even the turnover numbers. But there is going to be a curve. I don't think it's going to be as stark as some people thought, but there is going to be a curve, and it may be a while before you see the assist to turnover ratio numbers kind of retreating to the norm or what we would expect out of Caitlyn Clark. But don't expect the triple-double stats right away. I'm not saying she can't log triple-doubles, but, I mean, she, right now, again, she's averaging 4 assists per game. So, she's playing about 30 minutes per game, just under 30 minutes per game in 2 contests. And again, they'll take on the Connecticut Sun on Tuesday. And how about post-game coverage? I put a poll up on Twitter. How would people like to see a post-game show following the Fever season opening game? And it sounds like the fans have spoken. So that means former Hawkeye Catilin Alexander and I will be live Tuesday night. For people that don't know, Catilin Alexander was also in the WNBA for a while, so she understands not only what it takes to succeed at the Big Ten level, but also how big of a transition, how big of a learning curve it is for the average WNBA player, or I should say drafted college player. Certainly Caitlyn Clark is not average, but Catilin should have a good perspective, and we'll get to see her in an actual game on ESPN2. For those of you that don't know when you'll be able to watch Caitlyn Clark in action, yes, her preseason games were not on national networks, but here is the upcoming schedule. I mentioned Tuesday on ESPN2, but take a look at all these different contests on national networks like Prime Video, like ESPN, like NBA TV. So a lot of you may have NBA TV in your TV package already. Maybe you're a Prime subscriber. You'll have plenty of opportunities to watch Caitlyn Clark coming up, and that starts Tuesday night against the Connecticut Sun. That game scheduled for a 6:30 p.m. Central Time start. Myself and Catilin Alexander live after the game. Join us then. It should be a fun one following Caitlyn Clark's official WNBA debut in the Mohegan Sun Arena out in Connecticut. All right, so as promised at the outset, I recently sat down with incoming Hawkeye guard Aaliyah Guyton, daughter of Big Ten legend AJ Guyton, and her mom was quite the athlete as well. We talk about her heritage as well as her decision to be a Hawkeye, plus how her injury recovery is going. She's coming off a very serious knee injury. All that coming up during our sit down with Aaliyah Guyton. You're watching week 238 of Brada's Branded Thoughts. Straight from the man cave, Kinnick Under the Kitchen, authentic, original player artwork is being drawn up for Hawkeye fans everywhere. Locally made prints of stars wearing the black and gold from the past, present, and future. How about current Hawkeye superstars Cooper DeJean and Torrey Taylor, legends of the past like Jack Campbell, Spencer Lee, and Tim Dwight, plus future phenoms like Aaron Graves. There are so many options available. They make great gifts, and your purchase benefits the Hawkeye athletes wearing the black and gold. Visit Under the Kitchen on Facebook or at Under the Kitchen's new website. That's underthekitchen.square.site. Again, that's underthekitchen.square.site. Check out Under the Kitchen today and get your authentic, original Hawkeye print. Pleased to be joined by Iowa 2024 guard Aaliyah Guyton, who is primed and ready to arrive on campus. Aaliyah, I think you told me prior to recording this that you've got under a month to be home, and all of a sudden you're going to be in Iowa City. It's going to become real. Welcome to the show, and appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. No problem.
All right, so Aaliyah, we have not had you on before. I really do appreciate this opportunity to speak with you. You are the future, or at least part of the future at guard for an Iowa program that's thrived at that position. You think about what Caitlyn Clark has done for the sport. That's been well documented. We can talk about that. But Iowa's losing a lot in addition to Caitlyn, with Molly Davis leaving. And, of course, you also lose a really experienced guard in Gabby Marshall. I guess that's my first question for you. Before we talk about recruitment and your upbringing, are you ready for this moment in less than a month as we head into what's going to be a busy summer for you and eventually the season?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I am. Like I just talked to you about previously, watching film, just paying close attention to detail as to what I feel like the coach will expect from me. And even it's a blessing and a curse being injured. So I've been able to just watch, and even at practices, I'll be able to watch and talk more, have more conversations. But I just feel like with that, unfortunately, I'm not playing, but with just being able to get the visual aspect of everything, I've definitely been able to start preparing myself from a distance.
Can you talk a little bit about your health, Aaliyah? Where are we? I know you kind of talked about it just a second ago, but I mean, as far as rehab, where are we at currently?
So I just hit 13 weeks and basically 3 months on Tuesday. And I'll be able to start running and jumping in about 2.5 weeks. So, yeah.
When that injury occurred, and I believe it was early January, if I recall. I had to look that up prior
It was
to.
December 29th.
Okay, December
Yeah.
29th. So good information there.
You're close. You're close.
What was that like? Like in that moment, had you ever suffered anything as serious as an ACL before?
No, never.
What did that feel like for people that see ACL tears all the time in sports? Can you give us an idea what that's like?
I mean, for me, a lot of people when they tell me about their ACLs, they tell me it's when they went down, but mine was when I went up. It just felt like it was when I went up, and then when I came back down, like I just physically, I just could not. I couldn't put any pressure on it. And then I mean, in the back of my mind, I kind of knew, like I knew whatever I did was severe. So that was kind of the bad feeling, honestly. And it was a tough game too. It was a game that I've been waiting to play like all season. So I was actually more upset about that part than the injury itself. In that moment, because I'm like, dang, like I really wanted to be in this moment. I really wanted to be playing against this team. But so I mean, overall the feeling for me it wasn't painful, but it was definitely just frustrating just because I just couldn't force anything. I couldn't play on it as a lot of athletes try. So, but yeah, it's been a ride.
Yeah, the emotional aspect of that being the final moments of being on the court. Molly Davis experienced that with her collegiate career here just a couple of months ago and tried to fight back and wasn't able to make it back for Iowa's run. Where are you as far as outlook timeline to full speed? Do doctors have an idea of when you can get there?
Yeah, so I was told I'll actually be able to start my encore workouts again around late June, early July, and then as practicing with contact around September, August, middle of August, and then they, according to my doctor, just depending on how my recovery process goes. Not everybody's the same. I could be back like fully playing in November.
Great to hear. And that lines up with my next question. The opportunity. That's one thing you and I chatted about prior to this interview. The opportunity that Iowa presented to you during the recruiting process was obviously very attractive to you. Can you talk about that opportunity and with Caitlyn gone and with Molly gone and with Gabby gone, you have a chance to play early. What kind of an impact do you think you can make once you're healthy?
I mean, I think it can make a huge impact. I would say just with conditioning, especially, I feel like I've always been in great shape, and on top of that, my IQ has developed a lot. My just me being able to shoot at three different levels at all different levels, um, and being able to make an impact as a teammate as well. I feel like those are my very strong attributes as just as an offensive player, and that's excluding defense. Defense is defense is everything to me, honestly. And it sucks to say, but it wasn't. A few years ago, it wasn't. But I've been able to develop that mental toughness to just get up in people, get up in their faces, and just slow them down at least. I mean, you can't stop everybody, but if you can throw them off and you slow them down, then you've won. So I think those are definitely areas that I'll be able to step in and show the coach why it was worth giving me opportunity.
I'm going to see if I say this right, Aaliyah. Adriana Moises Pinto.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So for anybody that doesn't know, that's your mother, and everybody wants to talk about your dad's terrific career, and we'll talk about AJ and his terrific Big Ten career. But your mom, I didn't realize this until we started talking about this interview. 5 Olympics and 25 appearances on the Brazilian national team. Is that right? I mean, that's insane to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that been like growing up with a mom like that?
I mean, it's been a fun experience. Just being half Brazilian and getting to be around the Brazilian culture. But just being able to travel and go overseas. We lived in Italy for a while. Croatia, just being in Croatia, being in Germany, like all those different places. It's also just the reason why something that inspired me to play for the Brazilian team in 2021 as well. Just not even wanting to be with the Brazilian team. Of course, I want to be with them, but getting to play against different people, which is also something that has helped me develop as a player. Getting to play against people with different mindsets. I mean, they play differently from Americans, and it's definitely great to get that experience. But overall, traveling around with my mom, that definitely has been a journey, and it's just always been fun. And it gives me life lessons as well. So
we could chat about this forever. I am really intrigued by the foreign concept of basketball and getting that flavor. And there's some people that really resent me on this show because I'm a big Luka Doncic fan. And for some reason, there's a lot of people on this show that resent Luka Doncic. Right. But like whether you're a Doncic fan or you love watching a guy like Nikola Jokic or Giannis, like you can see that international flair and what it brings to the NBA. So I'm curious what specifically about the taste of international basketball that you've experienced that you've learned from your mom can you bring to the college game?
I would say just the mental toughness and the overall grit. I mean, not everybody's going to be super athletic, super quick. And that's how a lot of people are overseas. They're not extremely fast. They're not just going to blow by you every time. But, they think ahead. They're always two steps ahead. That's one thing. My dad also using his overseas experience and just his journey in general. Both of my parents just tell me like you have to be 2 steps ahead, and especially as I became more athletic, I wasn't always as athletic. So I would definitely say just the overall toughness and want to get up in your face, want to be physical, and things like that most overseas players naturally have.
I'm trying to think of the NBA guys that I can remember from Brazil, and correct me if I'm wrong on this. I remember Anderson Varejão, obviously the early years with LeBron James. He really burst onto the scene. Yeah. I remember Leandro Barbosa, running gun with the Suns. Nene for the Nuggets. Maybe some of the younger people don't remember Nene. Those are all Brazilian athletes.
I remember, yeah.
And is there anybody currently in the NBA from Brazil that I'm missing?
I believe it was one more, but I wasn't really familiar with them. I was just familiar with those 3 that you said.
Yeah.
But I believe it should be one more that's in the league right now.
Obviously, really high-end basketball in Brazil, and I'm curious too with your dad's. You mentioned his experience internationally. He had a cup of coffee in the NBA as well. He's obviously a former Big Ten Player of the Year. He got coached by an all-time great head coach. Talk a little bit about your dad and what you've learned from him.
I learned a lot from him, especially with moving back to my hometown. He's definitely been he's been the one taking care of me and helping me develop as an overall basketball player. And once again, I mean, the toughness is everything to me. It's what I talk about the most because it's what I had to grow. It's what I had to grow the most. But that's the one thing that stuck with me and will always stick with me that he's taught me through my years is just no matter what, whether you're playing good offensively, like the one thing you can control is your defense and your energy and your effort. And with that, everything else will come and the game will come to you. But if you control, if you play hard, no matter what, then anything else will come and everything else will go how the basketball guys want it to go.
Did your dad have any Bobby Knight stories that he told you growing up, or can you repeat them on the air?
Yeah, he has stories for days. But I mean, he's always told me that. I mean, like most people have the perception of him that he was mean. He was a mean guy, but he really wasn't. And I don't know if it was just because my dad was just that good and he didn't want to be mean to him, but that's definitely one thing that definitely caught my eye. Is just he's just always got the perception of just being angry or just being a mean guy, but he was actually very just a passionate coach. I mean, that was just how he showed how much he loved the game, basically.
Talk about your other offers, the recruitment. I mean, you had opportunities to go a number of places, including a number of places in the Big Ten. We talked about opportunity, and I'm sure Lisa Bluter and Jan Jensen, how they treat you on the recruiting trail is so well documented. But can you talk a little bit about your other opportunities and why ultimately you settled on Iowa?
I mean, there was, for the other schools, it just wasn't like the window just wasn't as open as much as like people some coaches was trying to convince me. And plus Iowa has stuck with me for so long, and I mean loyalty is big for me. So, and on top of that, there's that open door that not necessarily give me the key, but at least give me an opportunity. And not saying that I didn't have that with the other schools, but I mean it was just something about Iowa. Honestly, it was just like a feeling. Especially talking to Coach Bluter so much, and even my teammates, I made great relationships with my future teammates that I didn't get with the other teams on the official visits and stuff. So that also played a part, the relationships. And I mean, I've never really looked at like distance from home or nothing, so that was never an issue. But relationships and opportunity and just sticking with me.
Did Indiana recruit you?
Never, no.
Does that bug you? Does that tick you off? I mean, how do you respond to that?
I don't. I never really cared.
So there won't be, you're saying there won't be any, because I mean, let's be honest, Iowa and Indiana have been arguably the two best teams in this conference. So there won't be any extra chip on your shoulder when you face the Hoosiers in Carver this next year?
Nope.
All right. We're going to hold you to that.
Yeah, I'm just going to go out there and come after whoever's in front of me.
Absolutely. And the list that I had dug up, and perhaps this is outdated, but obviously you had hometown Bradley. You're from Peoria, so I don't know if there was any temptation to go to a smaller school, but you had a lot of Illinois schools after. You had Wisconsin, you had Illinois, Nebraska, Mizzou, Mississippi State. I mean, go down the list. Michigan State, obviously Iowa. You and I talked about this. Iowa basketball has kind of been on top of the world, not just because of Caitlyn Clark, but also in part due to Caitlyn Clark. Can you talk about what that's been like, not just as an Iowa commit and having your dad be a Big Ten great, but also heading into this sport of women's college basketball, what it's been like to see the game evolve and change?
I mean, it's been great. I think it's well deserved, and I'm glad that Caitlyn was able to bring to just use her talent and her skill and her passion for the game. I'm glad she was able to use that to, bring more attention to the game. I think it was definitely deserved and needed for women, and it also brings motivation to younger kids. To me personally, I feel like I can make an impact in that way, even for the younger generation in my city. So I'm definitely thankful for her and for what she's brought to the game.
Is there a sense of a load or pressure on you, given the fact that she had the ball in her hands so much for the last 4 years and you are a point guard? Is there any amount of pressure that you put on yourself with that?
No. That's also another thing that I obviously I had to think about and consider with coming in. But even with looking at the roster that we have I'm gonna have good teammates. I know I'm gonna make them better. I know they're gonna make me better. So I think once we just, we're all young. So I feel like once we just, get the time together and things will click. I think things should be fine. So that's kind of what relieved me from that type of pressure.
And Iowa is getting the services of former Villanova guard Lucy Olson. What do you know about Lucy? And I guess what was your reaction to that? I mean, obviously, here's someone who's got a lot of experience. She's only got 1 year of eligibility remaining. If there was ever pressure on you, I guess maybe take some of that pressure off. Just your thoughts on Lucy transferring to the program.
I actually love that addition. Actually, like I said, we're a young team, and I mean, I think having that vet and having that experience will definitely be beneficial and help. Me not coming in immediately, I think it'll help with that too, just with the injury part or whatever. But from what I know, she's a scorer. She can create, and I think it'll definitely be beneficial and could be a good combo with my defense.
The future, the future, getting that future ready. So she's going to be a great stepping stone and a bridge to that future, especially as you're coming off injury. Kanice is coming off an injury, and but I think Hawkeye fans are seeing and envisioning what this can be, not just in 2024, but beyond. Lisa Bluter's system is something I'm always curious to ask recruits about, because you talk about a fun system to watch. I'm sure it's just as fun to play. Of course, when you have someone like Caitlyn Clark, it makes it that much more fun to watch. But can you talk about what the system, even prior to Caitlyn, what you knew about how things were run? Obviously, they've had a lot of success nationally, and we speak about players like Megan Gustafson, Kathleen Doyle, who played the same position as you. What was attractive about the Iowa system?
The attractiveness for me was really just not just the freedom, but structured freedom. I like that. If I were to, I get the vibe that Coach Bluter is very open for her players, and she'll, like I said, she'll give you a chance, she'll give you a shot, she'll give you an opportunity, and that's what I love about the system. They don't just, try to make you become a robot, but they'll still give you some structure, but also just let you hoop, and that's what I love about the program and what she's built and what she's created.
Are you someone that, I mean, I didn't see this on tape when I watched you, but you're not someone who jacks it from 28 feet, are you?
No.
Not your game, right?
No, not unless I just hit 5 in a row.
Okay. You're gonna heat check, right? That's a natural thing to do. Yeah. So talk a little bit about your strengths, because when I saw you on tape, again, I've not seen you in person, and I had the privilege to see you in person yet, but I saw a smooth 3-point shot. Looks to me like you play bigger than you are. You're listed. I don't know if are you closer to 5'8", 5'9"?
I'm 5'6", really.
Okay. Yeah. 5'6". You definitely play bigger than 5'6". I'll give you credit for that. 100% play bigger than 5'6". I saw really good vision on tape. It seems like you're always under control, good handles. You tell me what's right and wrong about that assessment, and what would you add as it relates to strengths?
I would say that's pretty accurate. I definitely appreciate you seeing that, because it's what I've been working on. But one thing I've been trying to add, or had been trying to add, was just overall pace, change of pace, not always being at the same speed all the time. And yeah, I also want to get back to my flow game. I stepped back from that a little bit after the summer. So I think my flow game is definitely something I have to bring back. But my pick and roll reads is something I've improved into. Pick and roll reads, skip passing, just overall being smooth and being quick. And I think that all comes with pace. I think if I just get my pace much better than it was before, then I think everything else will go a step further. And
that kind of goes into my next question: weaknesses, things you're trying to address. Is there anything specifically besides what you just describe that you feel you've got the greatest room for improvement heading into your freshman year?
Yeah, I mean, I would say also just after, like, after pick and roll reads, because sometimes it might not go the way you want it. So just making sure I keep the ball alive, and making sure that my teammates are in the best positions, I would say. So I would say that.
Talk about growing up in Peoria. I know we're kind of going backwards a little bit here, but I'm curious. I've got family in nearby Canton, Illinois, if you know where that's at. And Peoria has always kind of been, I don't know, a very unique town to me. Maybe it's because I'm from Iowa and we traveled there a lot. But, you're downstate from Chicago, which is a hub for everything, anything and everyone. What's it been like growing up in Peoria? Who have been your biggest mentors there? I know we would talk a little bit about your life in Brazil and even Italy, but what's it been like growing up in Peoria?
I mean, it's been great. I mean, I love being here. I love being around my closest friends and my family. I have a great support system here. Not just my dad, but from my uncle. He played at Bradley. My grandfather played at Bradley. Also, Sean Livingston and Reggie Livingston. Sean went to the same high school that I go to now. He graduated from there. So they've been great when it comes for support. Especially with the injury going on. Reggie's been great for that. So, I mean, it's been great. It's been a ton of fun.
Absolutely. And as far as this upcoming year, what are your expectations besides getting healthy? I know you talk about opportunity. What do you expect out of yourself year one?
Year one, I just expect to, give myself some grace, honestly. Not put too much pressure on myself to come back. And just let the basketball gods just do what they do. I don't want to force nothing. And obviously I know it's probably going to take another year to get back to how I was fully. So I don't want to put the pressure on myself to try to get back and try to force things, make things even worse. That's definitely not what I want to do. So I just want to make sure I stay patient throughout the process, both off court and on the court.
And one thing I didn't ask you about, in addition to your teammates, what's it like in the classroom? I mean, we always kind of look at basketball as basketball, but you're a student athlete. Do you have an idea as relates to what you want your major to be? What do you want to do after basketball? I think that's probably a good question to ask.
Yep. So my major is in sport and recreation management, and I'm minoring in digital media. After college, I would really like to go overseas again, and I would really like to play. I know I can do both. I can probably do the W if I were to go there, but I love being in different places. I love experiencing different coaches, being around different people, and then I would like to coach as well. If I were to be a head coach, I would like to be high school, and then I'd like to be an assistant in college. And then for my final career, my job where I'll probably just settle, I would like to be a facility manager and a general sports manager. So, I just want to have my own facility. Actually, I want to build one in Peoria so I can have camps, tournaments, and do stuff like that for the generations to come. And then the general sports managing is just an idea, something I'll look into more. But those things are what I've thought about so far for when it comes to after basketball.
I'm glad I asked you about Peoria because it sounds like Peoria, that community means a lot to you. For you to have that type of vision years down the road to want to come back. Yeah,
it does for sure. I've been around some people who've struggled in different ways. So if there's anything I can do when it comes to coming back in town and making things easier for those kids, then that's what I'll do.
Having your dad be who he was and the notoriety with AJ and then with your mom's success, how do you balance keeping a level head and being humble through all of the success you've had and the notoriety you're going to get when you get to Iowa? I would think that's always a battle to just keep a level head.
Yeah, might be surprising, but it hasn't been, honestly. It was when I was younger. I would get a little, how kids get when you come at them with the same thing over and over. They're like, oh my gosh. But over time, I just got used to it. I don't really think about it too much. And when it does come, I just, answer whatever questions people might have about my parents. And I just embrace that, honestly, as much as I can. It's a blessing. And I'll take that through my journey. I'll take them with me.
Absolutely. And your teammates, you've got quite a group coming back in spite of the losses of some veterans on this women's basketball team. You've got some really talented fellow freshmen. Taylor Strimlow is someone you told me you've got a relationship with. Callie Levine out of Eastern Iowa. Ava Hayden from Oregon. Tegan Mullaney as well. We talked about Lucy Olson. Who are you closest to? And is there anybody in that class or the young group that maybe is already at Iowa that you see your game meshing with?
Me and Taylor talk a lot. Me and Taylor, she has the same type of energy and vibe as me. We all pretty much talk to each other as well, but she's the one I talk to the most. And relationship-wise, I would say Kenise who's already there. And I also see my game meshing with Hannah a lot, too. So,
okay. I wanted to ask you about Kenise because she's obviously from upstate, but she is also coming off an injury.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious what that will be like with you two moving forward future-wise. I think it's an intriguing backcourt because I remember when she initially committed to Iowa, I thought, she was overlooked by a lot of schools, and I remember thinking, she's got something there from an athleticism standpoint. She ain't the biggest. She's going to have a chip on her shoulder, I'm sure, because she wasn't recruited at the highest of levels. But I'll be curious to see you and Kenise together once you both get healthy. Aaliyah Guyton out of Peoria, Illinois, and I have 5'8", but I should change that to 5'6".
Yeah, you can leave it there. I'm 5'10" in high school, so.
Oh my goodness, they list you at 5'10" in high school.
They list me at 5'10", senior guard, Aaliyah Guyton. That's what they say.
You must be wearing some serious inserts in your shoes.
I don't know who put that in.
Well, you used to, the one thing I remember saying when you initially committed to Iowa is I said, you're not going to miss Aaliyah on the court because she's got that big hair.
Oh, yeah.
What happened to the hair? It'll be back.
Yeah, it'll be back. It was just the time I had to switch it up. I got tired of doing it. But it'll definitely be back. It wasn't just a one and done thing. Okay. For the guys out there that don't understand what it's like to have a hair routine, it's not a short process in the morning. It's not at all. It is not at all. It's about an hour. It's about a 30 to 45 minute long process. So yeah. But the fro will be back. Well, Aaliyah, it's been a pleasure to get to know you. We're looking forward to you getting to Iowa City, and we wish you all the best with your recovery. Sooner the better, but as you said, be patient, and your time is coming fast. So congratulations on officially being a Hawkeye, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Iowa City. Thank you. Thank you so much. A pleasure getting to know future Hawkeye Aaliyah Guyton. She's going to be a great one. She's got that mindset, that focused, locked-in approach to her game, and she's the type of personality that you want coming off the heels of Caitlyn Clark's era coming to an end. All the hype around this program, national attention. And I can tell you, folks, the Hawkeye fans, this fan base, the Iowa women's basketball fan base, they're driven to keep this program elite. Will they be successful? Will Iowa be successful in doing that? That is yet to be seen. But someone like Aaliyah Guyton, who I think is primed to do an excellent job at drowning out the outside noise. She can get healthy. She'll be able to contribute right away. Really looking forward to seeing what Aaliyah can bring to the table here in November. She should be healthy by the start of the season. That, according to Aaliyah. Appreciate you tuning in, folks. It's always a pleasure being here and bringing you exclusive interviews with players. We got more down the pipeline, so keep it locked right here. Please hit that like button, subscribe if you've not already done so, and we'll talk to you next time.